Hey, welcome to the Merry Mitch stream. I hope everybody's having an excellent evening so far. I am here today to do a little bit of D&D prep. I potentially have a game going on tomorrow, so I figured that it would be good to spend tonight's stream making sure things are in order. And I also will be having a buddy of mine come on a voice chat with me here to talk about not the Crawling Dust campaign, but one of the characters from the Jealous Twilight campaign. We've been working on developing his his background and getting a couple of things more solidified there, partially just in an effort to expand Velvet and the world itself, and then also because he doesn't entirely know this, but there's something coming up that I think could heavily tie into his backstory, and so I'm wanting to flesh it out a little bit with him to get a better idea whether or not the two his backstory and what's coming up is actually going to be linked. So that'll be happening in 10 minutes or so. It could be 10, it could be 30 minutes. We'll see. In the meantime, let me pull you over here where I have my GM to-do list. The first thing that I want to do is do an overview of Croaker's Cave. Make sure it's all good to go, and possibly add some stuff. Add some extra challenges and things, because these boys and ladies have managed to. If you see these two gentlemen, these were previously bandits that were a part of the Golden Tail. The group of people that they are going to Croaker's Cave to find and hopefully discuss things with. But initially what the plan was Croaker's Cave was going to be a miniature dungeon, very small dungeon, for them to enter in and figure out how to, get past the traps and the enemies. But what I'm thinking is that since they have captured these two bandits and converted them away from their cultist beliefs, I might need to do some tweaking to the Croaker Cave encounter, because I didn't expect them to bring these two lads onto their side. But hey, that's part of the beauty of D&D, and that's why I'm here today. So let's jump over to Croaker's Cave. So this is the entrance to Croaker's Cave here, where thankfully I think this is good to go, because no matter if they have some of the members or not, these two big old frog boys, ice frogs, are going to attack regardless. They are animals. They only know that they're supposed to protect the cave, so that will still be an encounter and something that they will have to get past. I also have the board over here that is specified because in the actual Croaker's Cave map there is a big pond here that they can use that board if they're clever enough to lay that down and make it across without having to swim through the actual pond itself. Let me bring up. Yes, nice. The Frozen Sick campaign document. Get down. Oh wow, I went right to it. Yeah, these frigid pools. If they go into it, they have to make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or gain 1 level of exhaustion. Most of them, I think, could manage that and get past the DC 10, but if they don't, that is a full level of exhaustion. That's rough. And they must repeat this saving throw for each time the creature spends. For each minute the creature spends submerged in the pool. So they'll be able to make it through in one round. So unless they just decide to chill in the frozen pool, they ought to be okay there. Yeah, and the entrance, this area of the cave is close enough to the entrance that it is dimly lit by day, and on clear moonlit nights, when the characters can see this area, read, "The slow dripping water sounds out where it falls from stalactites down into a murky pool that fills the rough tunnel ahead. Every few moments, a loud croaking sound out from somewhere in the darkness beyond." Every few moments, say, a loud croaking sound. Oh, a loud croaking sounds. This is the verb. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Sounds out from somewhere in the darkness beyond. With dark vision or an appropriate light source, the character can see a 25-foot long heavy wooden beam lying against the west wall of the cave at the south end of the pool. Oops, got to change that. The Golden Tail Bandits use the beam to cross the pool and pull it back to the far side when they are in the cave. 2 giant ice frogs hide in the murky pool. If combat breaks out in this area, the bandits in C2 quickly come to investigate. So that's what I'm wondering, is if these goobers come running out of the cave and appear over on this map, will the Golden Tail Bandits see their other members and be like, oh, they're with you? Alright, cool beans, come on in. Or will they consider those 2 traitors and fight them anyways? That's what I'm wondering. And this could be one of those moments where, like, if it seems as though they're pushing towards that direction, maybe I could do a like a party skill check where I ask each of them, how are you going to convince these bandits to lay down their arms and let you see their leader? And if they each give me a good enough reason, we'll have them each roll for what that reason is, and then if there's enough successes, then they make it past with no bloodshed. Because I do like to offer, peaceful resolutions, at least partially. That's why over in Pelk's Curiosities, they wound up killing some, and then leaving these 2 alive. So they'll probably make it in here without much issue. Then in the actual Croaker's Cave, if they bring the bandits along, then the bandits are gonna be able to tell them about the bats over on this side. And then we'll have to see if these bandits yield or not, which would mean that they could get through without much issue. So I'm going to put here, they quickly come to investigate, because the party has brought 2 of the bandits with them from Pelk's. There will be the brief opportunity to get past them without bloodshed. Ask the players what they do to convince the bandits from C2 to lay down their arms and bring them to Khalil. Let's say the DC will be 12, I think, for successes. Raising by 2 if they're, raising by 2 each time a skill is attempted twice. So that means, like, for instance, if one of my players goes, okay, I'm gonna persuade them. I'm gonna say, guys, we don't have to raise our weapons here. We can end this peacefully. Just take us to see Halil and there will be no problems. And they roll and they succeed past 12. If the next person goes, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing, basically. Like if they chime in and are like, and I'm gonna say that I lay down my weapon and put out a hand to shake in an effort to show that I am non-confrontational, then that would still be another persuasion check. And for that next player, it would become a DC 14 check. So we'll make it that way, I think. And if they succeed, they'll be able to come through here. I think the only thing that's gonna change would be that if that is the case, the loot that they could get from from here, from the C4 section, would be not obtainable at that point, unless they do a slick sleight of hand check. But I can do that on the fly. And for old Croaker, water dripping down from stalactites in the ceiling fills a dark pool that completely covers the floor of this cavern. Croaker Cave's largest denizen, named Old Croaker by the Ootlot, the Golden Tail Bandits, has claimed this pool. Just so everyone knows, this is a module from Wizards of the Coast that is a free module, one that they released, in 2020 during the whole pandemic when it swooped in hard. They released this in an effort to give people, like a free intro campaign to D&D. I decided, shoot, that is an excellent resource. I'm gonna take what they have created and see if I can alter it to fit within the world that I've homebrewed. And one of those things that I've changed is it's no longer the Ootlot Bandits, it is the Golden Tail. It hides in the water and attacks as other giant ice frogs. Old Croaker is a giant toad with immunity to cold damage. Old Croaker has been trained to ferry Halil and visitors to her cavern across the pool. A character who succeeds on a DC 15 animal handling check to convince Old Croaker not to attack the party can also convince the frog to ferry all the characters across the pool at one time. So that's interesting. Even if they do convince all of these guys to bring them over here, I think these guys are gonna hang back and say, hey, it's Halil that controls that thing over there. We're gonna hang back. Best of luck. If Old Croaker attacks you, I'm sorry, there's not much that we can do about it. So hopefully we'll see. I know Fenro has a really nice animal handling check. Yeah, holy moly, a +6 to his animal handling. So I'm thinking these frogs aren't going to be too much of an issue for them. Once they get over here, though, this is one of the big moments, because when the characters can see into this area, read, a warm rush of heat comes from a massive fire burning in the center of this cavern, its smoke venting up through a narrow stone chimney. The flames illuminate a rough painting of a stitched-together monstrosity that dominates the north wall, aka Patch, the incomplete god of death, undeath, excuse me. A bedroll is spread out beneath the mural near the crackling blaze. Oh, hold up. Let me, forgot to do this before this stream. But, there we go. I forgot to put myself on Do Not Disturb for my Steam account. Apologies. Alright, we're good to jump back over. A bedroll is spread out beneath the mural near the crackling blaze. A dwarf bundled in a heavy cloak sits on a stone chest beside an elf whose face is covered in tattoos of sutures. The dwarf's face is streaked with pulsing black veins. Halil Luton, a neutral, evil female mountain dwarf cult fanatic with a walking speed of 15 feet, dark vision out to a range of 60 feet, resistance to poison damage, and advantage on saving throws against poison, yada yada. And her apprentice, Raygrin Mao, a neutral, evil male wood elf cultist, yada yada yada, are both in a state of deep meditation, praying to Patch for a cure to the dwarf's affliction. Even if combat broke out in Area C5, they remain unaware of the character's presence until they are disturbed or attacked. Halil and Raygrin are both greedy servants of Patch and the Golden Tail family. Raygrin follows Halil's every order with unshaking loyalty. Halil is so desperate for a cure for the ailment that is slowly killing her that she doesn't attack the characters when she first sees them, as long as she isn't attacked first. Instead, she orders them to stand down and demands to know why they came to the cave. A quick-thinking character can claim to have come to help Halil at the direction of her sister after receiving a message from Patch, or with another appropriate rationale. With a successful charisma deception or charisma persuasion check opposed by Halil's wisdom insight, the character convinces the dwarf that all the characters are her allies. On a failed check, or if the characters challenge her, Halil and Raygrin attack. I love this attention to detail. If they wind up in the fire, shows you how much damage it'll do. What Halil knows: if the characters convince Halil that they are her allies, or if they capture her or Raygrin and succeed on a DC 14 charisma intimidation check, they can learn the following information. Oh wait. Oh gosh. Sorry, my buddy has been back for a while. Let me bring him online. Alright, cool. I'm gonna ring him up. This is Keytoon. Yo.
Hang on. I got my headphones up and running, and you're coming. There we go.
Was I like crazy loud?
No, it was I had my output audio set to my speakers still.
Oh, gotcha. Right on.
You're.
Well, alright, dude. Let me jump into the Jealous Twilight game here so that I can look at the maps and such.
Yep.
And we'll pick up where we left off.
Yep.
Alright, let me see. Where are the maps? Here they are. Alright, so we were in the midst of developing uh, Blight, Lightwater Bay.
Ooh. Ooh.
Right? I think that was correct.
Yeah, and that also, if we're going by route of the whole like war town, or like, basically like industrial mining town, I think you need to have like a natural. It needs to be formed around a natural river source too, just for the sake of like how forging works. And that's uh coming. That's me spouting straight from Skyrim, because all the forges are by rivers. So I'm just assuming that that's why.
Heck yeah, dude. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, like how in Percy Jackson, it's like, underwater.
So it probably, I'm looking at the map here. It's probably uh at the top, like at the top of that little inlet there, and then
I
goes
love
along
fishing.
and goes along the coast, and perhaps there's a river there that flows through. Maybe shoot, do you see where my mouse is?
Yeah,
Uh if a river started right there and went down in a uh southwest direction,
yeah.
then it could be placed right there. Either that, or it could be on the other side and go in a the opposite, or south east direction. Although,
Like towards, would the flow be towards Coverlet?
yeah, that's the issue. We need it to go
Well,
down.
actually, that would be that'd be a perfect reason for Coverlet or Quilt to get involved and to go up there. If like they notice that the waters are being like poisoned somehow, and that also works for like motivation behind the town itself. Um, if it's Gorman Gore guy Gore
Yes,
God.
gore.
Yeah. uh, if he's kind of not directly the anti-Quilt, but if he's working in contest with Quilt, then he would definitely be like, perfect. I can pee in this water, and then it'll get to Quilt. Mwahaha.
Oh
And
shoot,
then
that's pretty good.
we could have that be how like I get involved with Quilt again, or Grumbino gets involved with Quilt again, because she has to go directly, and or not her directly, but excuse me. But that would give reason for me to become involved with the town of Coverlet again.
True. So I imagine, so you'll join up with, so are the Golgari located in Blightwater Bay?
I would imagine that Blightwater Bay is not only a like all the way I'm thinking of it, it's like a tiered town, right? Because it's more industrial, less nature. So it's like a layered town that's I wouldn't call it modern, but it's less it's more stone, less tree, and less natural. Um, so with that, I would imagine there'd be an intricate deep sewer system, and not only, and maybe like at the top of that sewer system, at the top of that sewer chain, if you will, would be the forges. So that way, like, you're not cooling down metal swords with poop water, but like fresh water. Um, and then it all like funnels out. So I would imagine the Golgari would be on that bottom layer of the city.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be like a giant port town as well. Because that would also mean that their economy doesn't need to be based on Coverlet, and they can do sea trades.
Hmm.
Ooh, you know what? They could also be like they bringing in potentially invasive species and stuff like that, just because of their lack of care for coverlet and the natural order and the ecosystem of things.
Oh yeah. No, I wouldn't
Just
doubt
in
that.
terms of like, look at this amazing farm animal, meat animal, and like it's one of those things of like if one of those and it's like it's poultry basically, so it's small enough to be able to escape without one of them recognizing it. And it's like one of those situations where if it does escape and gets into the ecosystem, that's bad for that area.
Hmm.
That's just like an ancillary. It's not like a required thing. I'm just thinking.
True. All right, and so this so Blackwater Bay's infrastructure is primarily going to be supported, I think, by the production of Warforged. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
All
what if
right.
they're like also? What if that's their main export
That's what I was
as
thinking
well?
too. Yeah.
Nice weapons and Warforged, and Gore could stimulate the economy by traveling to other countries and other nations and other places and drumming up war so that there's a need for his town to flourish.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about that. Uh, Gore is an interesting one because he's been like commissioned by Thread, the kind of the head of the evil side of the Pantheon, to protect the gates into the gates to the Understitch, or no, sorry, the gates into the Abyss. Um,
Mhm.
but like a funny, this is just a fun fact about Gore. He he accepted the job, and then he just like pisses off whenever he feels like it, and yeah, like does not take that job seriously. Um,
Wow.
so it would make sense. Yeah, he'd be trying to drum up wars and such.
Nice. He's just basically God. If he was like, if we imagine this world progressing by way of Percy Jackson, then he would essentially just become like a crime boss slash also lawyer in a way, so
Uh,
that he can like keep a steady flow of crime going and also put away people who are like putting up too much crime. Or like it'd be one of those it just in my head the way I'm imagining it is he would be one of the people who dictates what's illegal, thereby he can create he can like he would make certain things illegal so that certain people become criminals, and then just kind of make the law less like strict and more of just this amorphous moving mass so that he can force people into like conflict.
yeah, I mean, certainly like in the regions that he has influence, he could do that.
Yeah,
And I mean him
it's just
being
by the way my head's going.
yeah, no doubt. And I mean him being a deity and all. He or I mean, sorry, pseudo deity.
Yeah.
He does have the ability to like affect people's like dreams and minds and such.
Ooh.
Cuz like what happened was yes, okay. I don't think I have Gore's whole history written down, but from what I believe, he actually surpassed his brother in power. Um
Mhm.
uh and it was because he decided to go to Thread. And Thread is like the source of all evil in this world, pretty much. He's the one that like figured out that you can consume other things to like garner power and wealth and yeah, like anything that you might want, but you know, at the cost of corrupting yourself, of course, which he didn't. he didn't initially realize, but after going down that path, he went into that path hard.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, Thread's whole backstory is pretty cool too. But Gore went to, like, after attaining immortality, he went to Thread to ask, like, hey, I'm like kind of a quasi deity now, but I want to become even more powerful. Like, he charged into Shred, which is where Thread remains, and, like, just tore through it, like, basically guns blazing, and said, like, I
Yeah.
will not stop until I am given what I desire. And now I think at this point, yeah, he's been, like, raised to godhood pretty much.
Well, damn.
But all that to say, like, he would probably be able to affect, like, people in powerful positions, his minds and such, to subtly get them to change laws and
Yeah.
and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, in my mind, it's like just basically if he can control the flow of crime and the flow of law, he can also create more conflict. Like, because it's. I think if you're thinking in modern standards, it's if you are an evil god, an evil war god, it's harder to get nations to go to war. Not just beyond like motivation, but all like the bureaucracy behind it and stuff like that. And then he would have to politically leaders who decide that stuff are also very influenced by the people and like and public opinion and stuff like that. So that'd take a lot. So he would probably default away from all out war and more into just like domestic conflicts.
All right, I think I followed you there.
Yeah, it's basically war hard to make happen, crime easy to make happen. crime war, drug war. There we go.
All right, word.
Yeah.
My apologies. I was trying to flip the cap on my water bottle because there's a part of the water bottle that leaks, and I have no idea why it leaks. But on the other side, it usually doesn't.
Oh, no worries. I also I have thought, but when speak, word get jumbled.
Yeah.
So in my head it made sense, but I realized that like there's a slight gap between what I meant to say and what I actually said.
Oh, no worries there, dude. So I'm wondering, is the like place, the city itself called Blightwater Bay, or is that just a place in the city, if that makes sense?
Oh, definitely. I think Blightwater Bay works. Because, it probably started as like just a tiny little port town bay situation and grew from there. Because I think, and I could be very wrong, but I think a lot of like major cities like Philadelphia and New York started off as like Philadelphia port or like New York port, basically, and then became giant cities because they were by the ocean. And yeah, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, I like the idea that it started off not as like this horrible, crime-ridden, black market bay that it is currently, and instead, like, it was just a kind of merchant, like, trading bay known as Lightwater Bay, without the B, and then Gore came in, and the name was astutely changed once things got up and running.
I like to imagine that like he came in and with like a Jack Black character-esque
swagger. He was like, "First things first, dudes," and then he just like turns around on the side and slams a giant bee onto it. We're changing things around here.
Heck yeah, dude. I dig that. I dig that. I'm gonna make a note of that real quick. Just used to be called Lightwater Bay. At its humble beginnings as a simple merchant, or what would you call that? Just a simple like port town.
Yeah, merchant town would also work because I think that like where there be merchants, there be thieves, and so the merchanting and capitalism would be a great place for any sort of parasitic hold Gordon would want to have on the economy,
Oh
or
yeah.
just the town in general. It was probably really easy for him.
Yeah, and it's probably to the point where like now it is like a seedy place in general, but I think like there are probably still some respectable folks there that don't
I'd
realize it at this
Yeah,
point
I'd
because it's
imagine it's like the like highest of highs and then lowest of lows, best of time, worst of time, like encompassed right there.
wait, what do you mean?
So like if we're speaking structurally, like if the city has layers, like and levels, um like imagine like basically the city itself is one giant castle, which it's not, but like, structurally. Then there's like top floor, bottom floor, middle floor, and like depending on where you live would determine your social standing in a like literal high class, literal low class situation. So like up in the biggest of towers at the center of the city would be the high class life, and then in the rings and outskirts in the bottom, that's where all the like seedy stuff goes on.
All right, so there's various tiers. I'm so sorry. I took a sip of some yerba mate that I didn't realize it's been opened for a while. And I guess like I left it in the car or something for a long time, and I think it's gone bad because like it wasn't liquid. It was like a slime that I that I just drank.
Oh dear God. Are you okay?
I think like it's gone down fine. I think, and I'm not feeling nauseous yet, but yeah, just I was not able to, I wasn't able to pay attention to what you were saying in that moment. I apologize.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm gonna wash it down with some water. But I believe I might have gotten most of what you were saying, or at least the general gist. Like, there's a upper echelon, and in the upper echelon, things are, quote unquote, all is well and good. But like everyone else underneath them is kind of having a rough go of it.
Be much.
All right.
Yeah. Like kind of like trying to think of a good visual. I keep thinking of Skyrim. Have you played Bloodborne?
I at least know a little bit about it. I haven't played it myself though, unfortunately.
The opening like city, how it's got like big layers. Like there's pretty much like an upstairs downstairs to the city where like the buildings, like the infrastructure of the city is also created by the buildings, and so like people will basically be living in a wall that on their roof will be a bridge basically.
Snap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a merging between infrastructure and residential housing and then markets and streets, and it's just a conglomeration of brick.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It's to the point where like you can't it's hard to recognize when you're on the quote unquote ground or like at sea level.
Yeah. Right on. I think we can probably do some more building of this this city here in a little bit. I wanted to figure out so this, like, certainly the Golgari are gonna have a foothold here. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So Grumbino has been hocked into a river, and winds up floating down into the sewers of Blightwater Bay.
We might need to change that if Blightwater Bay's flow goes to Coverlet rather than the other way around. We could say it might be a stretch. I don't know.
You are amphibious. What if like you were barely conscious enough to just like get yourself over there, but then as soon as you like got up to the sewer, you passed out.
I was imagining that like one of the reasons Grumbino survived was because he was chucked into the water and like that sustained him enough. But I'm wondering, because I'm trying to think if it'd be justifiable for an ocean current to sweep him from the east side of the island to the west side, to the upper west. But I don't think that that's how ocean currents work. I think it'd be more likely that he'd get swept into maybe we can do something with the ocean and something with Blightwater's trade routes and imports.
My other question is, does it need to make like total natural like scientific sense if we're in a fantasy world? Like what if just one of the rivers it goes up? Like despite any conventions, it just flows that direction.
It could.
But it's important that it flows towards Coverlet. Because
I also like in my mind usually suspension of disbelief gets pretty, granted we're not going to have like a major audience to this, but for my own personal satisfaction, suspension of disbelief tends to get less flexible when you are if you're, unless you're like, water nymphs make this river go north, then people, or like water nymphs controlled the current to make it go that way, which like unless you do something like that and you just leave something familiar like the ocean or the tides or a river, that's where people tend to start being like, all right, I can accept Frogman got thrown into a river after fighting Stone Giant, but rivers don't go that direction.
Yeah.
And like, we could say water nymphs, but like, I don't know. I personally don't like that reason.
Do you think there's like the only other thing I can think of is like if you were thrown into a river that flowed down, like went from, like, you see there's a couple of lines there at the, like, near the bottom of the island of that little river going that direction. If there's a river that flows down that direction towards where you come from, that that whole forest, would there be like I'm considering, like, what if there are certain, just like because there's a lot of stuff in Blightwater Bay. What if there's some sort of rare like hide collector and hunter that wants to basically like find grungs and like kill a Grung and bring it back and like sell its skin basically. And so it found like this character found you and was like, oh righteous, like gotta I got a free free payout here, and like lugs you into his cart, carries you all the way back into Lightwater Bay, and then by happenstance or by something else, like his cart getting bumped, you fall like into the sewers basically.
I was thinking something similar to that in a way, where like if the river takes me out to the ocean, and then a boat that's on its way to Blightwater leaves me floating, or like catches me in a fishing net, or maybe something where okay, here's something. The river, right, takes me to the swamps. And like I get to a patch of like deep swamp and muck that just kind of sucks me in and absorbs me. And of course, I'm doing pretty okay because I'm wet. But maybe I'm there for a while. I don't know. It's some amount of time spent in muck and grime dealing with defeat. And my skin is still golden though, and like based on water and rising levels and stuff, some of the muck gets like swept away, and my skin is seen by like scavengers or some sort of treasure hunters or people, these thieves, or like pocket pickers, merchants who do business in Blightwater. And they see me and they take me that way.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be like straight up a humanoid trafficking ring, like that comes across you and is
Blight
like,
Bay, even.
A what?
I had called it Blightwater, which is from some other media, but Blight Bay is the name of the thing, right?
Lightway?
Or is it Blightwater? But Blight Bay? Blightwater Bay. Blightwater Bay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
these of course they would be from Blightwater Bay. But yeah, like a humanoid trafficking ring. There's even I had even planned a long time ago, I planned a campaign that started in Avalance, and one of the things that was going to be a big point in that was that there is a carnival that travels, but they are like, that is their show when they go into like good towns and such, to cover up the fact that they are a very involved and serious and big humanoid trafficking ring. And I believe it was just called like I forget the name, like some sea names, Callous Carnival. And it's literally like they because they exist like in the underbelly, or they originate from the underbelly of Avalance. I've told you about Avalance, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, shoot. It has a it is literally mirrored underneath by another like somewhat identical city that is like upside down and dark and like like literally an underbelly to the city.
Oh, okay.
And that, because that being the center of the planet and like basically Velvet's capital, that is where the dragon god of balance resides. And so like due to his power, it there wound up being this like lawful good side on the top and lawful evil side directly underneath. An odd like phenomenon, basically.
Yeah.
Only possible because the dragon god exists there.
Okay.
But anyways, these could be like a faction of that group that found you. possibly.
I wonder. If instead of humanoid trafficking ring, it's just like because I would. If it's a humanoid trafficking ring and they stumble upon the Grung sovereign, I don't think that they would sell him or give him up or take him to Blightwater Bay. I think that it should just be like basically trinket hunters, scavengers, pretty much, who are just like, oh, look what we found here! It's a golden frog, it is, and then they take it into Blightwater and they're like, this is an entire person. And they're just like, well, it's dead. and or they're like, it's like I can't sell golden skin. Well, why don't you just take him off our hands? I'll take him off your hands and throw him in the sewer. No, don't do that. We found him first. And shenanigans ensue, and the sewer, I fall in, poop.
Oh yeah, dude tosses you overboard, or over like a railing into the sewer, and the other guy punches the other guy, and they get into a squabble.
Like they're in my head, they're at like the merchant that they're trying to sell it to, and the merchant's like, I can't make any money off of golden skin. What am I supposed to do? It's not like frogs can make pelts.
I'm not a taxidermist either. Like, what do you mean bringing me a golden frog?
I'll tell you what I have back there. It is a forge. I have a hot fire and a metal bucket. I melt down precious metals, and then I turn them into fake gold coins. What am I supposed to do with this?
If you melt this guy down, won't it make it like a bunch of gold nuggets or something? No!
Yeah, you can have yourself a right dinner. I don't want dinner. I've got dinner.
Goodness.
And
I'm absolutely down with that. And then
right,
so
sweet.
So that's the way.
Basically,
that is the way. You get tossed into the river. It flows downwards towards a marshland that is on the coast, parallel to where you come from. These just like scavengers, basically.
Scavengers directly from Blightwater who have to travel the continent in their beat up wagon in order to make ends meet back at home.
Oh, I was imagining that they had a ship. But I mean,
I would think that if they had a ship, they'd be going further, and like, cause Coverlet is not if it's a natural paradise, it wouldn't have a lot of like metal trinkets like silverware. Basically, these people are like picking up pretty much just I don't know, loose armor. Trash, people trash, but not nature trash. So it's not like their prospects aren't high scavenging on Coverlet because there's not a lot of people trash except for Blightwater. And if they had a ship, they'd be going other places.
True.
They don't. They've just got a wagon.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely works for me. Then they would travel, all the way back up to Blightwater Bay, which I think would be like right around where that river is, up top there. At the top of the island. Yeah. So they bring you over there. They try to sell you to a like jeweler or blacksmith.
Pretty much. So not a blacksmith, just somebody who understands the concept of precious metals and that heating them up will melt them down and then you can resell them as something else. Or you could resell those metals to the blacksmiths. Or at least try to. It's basically the equivalent of somebody walking around the city and picking up like aluminum cans and selling them to recycling centers.
That would it would make a lot of sense then why your character is like starting with general gear instead of like what you would have gotten from your palace, basically, like the best of the best, probably.
Because
when you were brought there,
the hub.
They would have been like, oh yeah, like he's got like, and they would take the armor probably off of you and sell that first, And then
Yeah,
afterwards, they start trying to convince this buyer to also purchase just the your
Yeah.
body as well. But at that point, he goes like, "Dude, no, wait, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And maybe like just to get them out of there, like he gives them like 3 copper or something, and then like tosses the body just over and into the sewer, or the fist fight shenanigan, one or the other.
What might work better is if like they find they're like trying to convince her, and they're like, just like, go ahead, so look, it's going all the way around, it's going all the way down, look at this, and then she like touches me bare, and then like the poison, and she's like, ah!
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And, and then she's like,
maybe I could.
It's a health hazard.
Yeah, maybe I could do something with this. Like sees her fingers
she's like,
melting
I haven't had frog in a long time. You know what? Maybe, but I can only give you 2 pence for it. 2 pence. This is an entire frog. Fine, 3 pence, and we get some of the frog.
Yeah. Right on.
Or like they're like, what is this, some sort of lizard or a catfish? I can't quite tell, because they don't know what a frog is.
Dude, and honestly, like that would track like with what that place is.
Yeah.
Nice. And then at that point, yeah, the Golgari swarm would find you. Now, I don't know a ton about the Golgari swarm. Could you fill me in?
Yeah, so I can I looked at, and like as your like Golgari background, you pick 3 aspects from the Golgari. And one of them is like your kind of dedication to the Golgari, and like what keeps you there, like money, riches. Mine is, I'm forever grateful to the reclaimer who found me floating face down in the sewer moments from death. And that's like a direct like straight from the 5e or that source that we've been using like on the Golgari, which is just perfect.
Oh yeah. And something that could certainly pop up in the future.
You know what actually is, like, there's another thing about it that's like, all of us are a part of the cyclical march of nature, which will continue with or without us. But maybe we can rework this to be the angle where, even though the Golgari are like a cynical underbelly, they are kind of like the most representative of nature in general. So in that city, they would technically be like the rebellious good guys. Because, that image of like a decaying body and from it sprouts a flower is pretty much a good summary of the Golgari, or, like mushrooms, fungus, moss, bottom feeder stuff, insects, but it's all natural stuff. It's what's left of like nature's spirit, thriving as best it can underneath the city. Like the image of like a flower blooming through concrete or something like that.
Dude, I absolutely love that. Are you kidding me?
Right?
That's that dude, it works like scarily well in the context of like the relationship between Coverlet and Blightwater Bay. There's
yeah.
So in this like super seedy place, there is an underbelly that is not like the seedy portion of it, but is instead like the few remaining folks of that place that are at least still like in line somewhat with like Quilt's values, at least like on the notion of just like caring about nature itself and keeping like the natural order.
Yeah, and instead of being called the Golgari, we could just call them something like Quilt's Hope, or maybe Quilt's not Needle, because you said she's peaceful and not.
Yeah, and Needle doesn't have domain over nature.
Okay, yeah.
Like think of it kind of like a Zeus scenario where like I think she kind of has like dominion over the Overstitch, Otherwise, like sorry, same thing as like the heavens, basically.
Right. Um, but they could also be like, since they're directly tied to Quilt, that would also like give Quilt more motivation to kind of take me under the wing and be aware of me as well, because it could be like she sometimes visits Blightwater Bay, but she not in full power because of like
Incognito.
how the and like how the city functions is like kind of her antithesis.
Yeah.
So not in full power, but she's the flower that's blooming in like in the body or blooming through the concrete. Maybe that's what I see. Like that's something that wakes me up or something like that. Like I'm like ready to accept death because I've basically reached the last sewer grate before the water shoots out of the city, you know. But it's like usually those are like barred off, and I could just be stuck on that, just like dying, like as the water like it keeps me in like a weird state of paralysis, like liminal states of being between life and death, and then suddenly like they're within this spot of the sewer. There's a crack in the ceiling somewhere, and it's hitting. Ooh, okay, yeah, that could be it. Like it's maybe it's not a flower, but it's like a vine or something that's near me that I can reach to pull myself out of the sewer.
I'd even be willing to say that there might be other bodies there, like in the sewer.
Oh yeah,
that folks have dumped.
yeah.
I'm wondering. So we're kind of going towards the notion or the idea that the one that pulled you out of it, like in that descriptor, I forget exactly how it's phrased. Let me pull up your character sheet.
Oh yeah.
It's in the core, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you scroll down, right? Oh, yeah, the bio actually.
Oh, it was in bio.
Yeah.
Here it is.
And then
yeah.
if you scroll down, yeah.
I'm forever grateful. Yeah, this one to the reclaimer who found me floating face down in the sewer, moments from death. We're leaning towards the idea that it was Quilt. Is that reclaimer, or do we want it to be someone from the Golgari?
I would say somebody from the Golgari. The vine idea that I had was like if I had pulled myself out of the river, but we need to you're right that we need to work with like somebody pulling me out. Ooh, also, once they pull me out and like I wake up like alive and like tended to medically, the blanket on me is what will become my cape.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah. And I think that I'm still with you on that. That is from Quilt. Like you have this vision, like as you are fading out, basically, of like Quilt appearing next to you and like wrapping it around you and then like fading away, basically. And then it's in that same moment that like once she like ties it and like holds it around you, that like your eyes start to open and you feel yourself like being moved and dragged. But what's weird about it is like you thought that was a vision, but yeah, you wake up and the cape is still around you.
Yeah, and I can have like I could have this dream of just like warmth in a field or maybe like a forest. What's the term? Like an opening in the forest where it's just like
a grove.
Yeah, like a grove. Because what I imagine the Grung home being like is like this, like basically a rainforest, but no breaks in the treetop canopy. Which is why I made that joke. I think our last campaign where I was like, I didn't even know the sky existed until recently because the Grungs just don't see it because they've been at war with themselves so long and haven't gone outside of the forest. And they also don't have a written word. And the best that their like battle strategy is pretty much like visually represented, like with like stones or something. Um, but yeah, it's which is like one of the most impressive thing about the Grungs is the fact that like they don't have the written word, but do have very vicious battle strategies.
Oh yeah, just like written
But
out
yeah,
in mud or something. Yeah, on the rocks.
yeah. So
Just done
basically,
through
like
like pictures and such.
yeah, pretty much in like handprints. So basically, like I would have this image that I would recognize as home because of the trees, but something warmer, something brighter, with like the advent of the sun, and like I could see this like woman's presence, but it'd be blurry, and I wouldn't quite know what I was seeing.
Yeah, you might just remember like the long flowing red hair.
Yeah,
Um and but yeah, the facial features, everything else was blurry. You notice
I
like a
assumed
lot
she
of
would have her
color.
like back to me.
Yeah. Although, well, okay, so you'd have the vision of suddenly being, yeah, in that grove, feeling the warmth, and then seeing her ahead of you instead of wrapping the cape or the cloak around.
Yeah,
Or yeah, the
so
cape around.
in my mind, it's like obviously like it would be after maybe it'd be after the person pulls me out, right? And it would be while I'm unconscious, like with the quilt on me, with like the blanket on me, and then I would have that dream before I like fully regain consciousness for the first time after getting beaten to a pulp by Rutchin.
Oh yeah, I'm down with that.
And basically in my mind it'd be like uh I can think of if if I had like I can think of visual examples, but like basically like you know that effect they do when a character's like kind of in and out of consciousness or slipping out of consciousness, and like the light and the focus is kind of throbbing in a way between where you can kind of see what's happening and kind of not, and it's just bouncing back and forth, and the whole image is kind of basically just like a blur.
Oh yeah.
And then like sounds are like kind of muffled and stuff like that. That would be basically how I see the dream. Um, and maybe it could be the dream starts off with that image of like some like some figure bent over like away from me, and then it stands, and as like the image like blinks and it fades to black and comes back in. I get hints of like that, like the audience would get if this was a movie. The audience would get hints that like some sort of cover is being put on me, and then I wake up with like the blanket on me, but it'd be from like Grumbino's perspective in that moment.
Um. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. I got lost at like the very end there. So the cloak is being put on you by this member of the Golgari that saved you, but from your vision, you feel it coming from Quilt, or sorry, I
Yeah,
think I
exactly.
misread that. Okay, nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way I'm just it's a very particular image in my head, but like it's hard to describe because it's basically like it would work it to where I don't see her face, but I do see the hair. Basically, Grumbino's only catching hints of the presence near him,
Yeah.
and then because he doesn't know Quilt, so he just sees like hair and stuff. And basically, it'd be if we're telling a story from Grumbino's perspective, it would be a situation where it's like only hints of what is to come, and like hints of the symbolism that in retrospect, in hindsight, you understand what's happening, but like going forward, it's like kind of like a mystery.
Mm. Heck yeah. All right. Real quick, I gotta take a whiz.
Yeah,
um, but so can we, yeah, do like a 3 minute break here?
yeah.
All right, right on. I'll be back in a flash.
Yup.
Right, yo yo.
Yo yo yo.
Yo yo yo.
That was also a good break for me to be able to like write some of this stuff down.
Heck yeah, dude. I get that. I stretched a little bit. I heard heard so many things pop though, dude. Um
Oh my goodness.
which was kind of satisfying, but unexpected.
Also scary. Yeah.
I think because I mean that's just like the bones releasing, what is it, like air pressure or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Granted, please keep in mind I'm not in any shape or form a doctor.
Right. I think I heard that too.
Yeah, it's some kind of, yeah, it's like air gets in between the joints or something. I don't know. But yeah, it felt pretty good. I did this whole thing that shook it out. Heck yeah, feeling good to go. Um, good deal. How much have you gotten down? Do you need any longer?
I just need one more second because I'm on the part where they throw him in the sewer.
Hey, right on.
Into the sewer, whereupon he was rescued.
Yo, I can actually see you typing.
What? Oh,
I can see.
It's
So,
like, are you playing off of like the bits we had before, where everybody was in my apartment? I was like, is my camera on?
no, 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 Keaton. That would be, man. I would be wildly late to that, to that joke or string of jokes. Solid callback though. Nah, just in the game there. Since I'm the DM, I can see whenever things are edited. I was playing with the idea of the one who like leads. Or sorry, hang on. I wanna still give you the second to type.
Alright, I'm done.
Oh snap. Tight. Wait, maybe are you writing it in what area are you typing it in?
The character backstory.
Okay, I do see it here.
I guess all that Golgari stuff should be put in allies and organizations. So I'm just gonna move that real quick. There we go. And I'll edit that when we decide on like what the underbelly organization of like Quilt's last vestige of hope should be called instead of the Golgari, because it could basically act as a stand-in for the Golgari.
I'm gonna look up quilting terms.
Yeah. That's what I do when I have like a theme for a character, and I'm like, I don't know if there's anything I can use here.
Heck yeah. Adding fabric motifs by hand or machine to a foundation fabric is called applique. An awl, AWL, a tool typically used in leather making to create holes, can be used in quilting to pierce templates for marking points. Call you guys the awl, because you're trying to poke that hole into Lightwater Bay.
That's where my mind was going too, but leather is like still natural in a way. I'm wondering if there's like what do you do to add quilts to metal work? Like, what's that process called?
See if I can find it. Adding a quilt like onto something else.
Maybe, yeah. Or it could be called like is blanket something somewhere in the mythos already?
Quilt's blanket is a I previously had Quilt's blanket as a group of individuals that basically like Quilt's what was the word I used for it? Quilt's hang on, I think I have it here in this old document.
Ooh, is Stitch anything in the mythos, or Patchwork maybe?
Patch is, not patchwork. And Stitch is, I don't know, kind of in a variety of places. My main thought is that the basically heaven and the heaven and hell of this universe is known as the Overstitch and Understitch.
Right. What about a cross stitch? You could call them the cross stitch.
Oh, so yeah, Blanket is Quilt's personal unit, basically, like a group of just highly trained warriors that I think are very good with stealth and such to enact. Quilt isn't about doing things through violence, so they are a like reconnaissance squad to gather information if she needs it, to go and like take care of, like, I don't know, problems or trouble in her name, or like anything that needs to be done for Quilt that Quilt can't do personally, she'll ask the Blanket to do.
Like, say, reestablish her powers in a industrial city.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Without a doubt. Heck yeah, dude. That actually worked out really well.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'll just say. I wonder if there's a find and replace option here. What did I do? I'll just bring it up again. There I am. How about bring it over here? Go to character sheet. I'll just write like I'm gonna edit this some, so none of this is like final. But I'll write like Quilt's Blanket instead of Golgari. I'll just put that down there for when I change it later.
All right, word.
Okay, so I'm imagining the person who pulled me out basically just be like some young kid, some young girl.
All right, cool. I think a large majority of, well, no, actually there's all kinds in Coverlet itself. A lot of there's some minotaurs, there's some there's a lot of elves and half elves. There's certainly like a fair share of humans. Probably not so heavy on Dragonborn. There's a lot of half orcs that wound up there after the like the Great Gorin genocide that took place. A lot of them found found that to be a what do you call that? A lot of them wound up being refugees. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So a lot of half orcs. Maybe what other? Struggling to think of the races. Oh, some centaur. Probably not as common, but are there. Arakakra. Maybe a couple. A fair amount of Genasi. There's specifically one Kenku that I know is a part of the Blanket. I actually do have some members of the Blanket already made.
Oh yeah?
I recall. Yeah, let me pull up Let me pull up D&D Beyond. Am I logged in here? Yes, I am. I'm gonna pull this over here. Yeah, let's see. So I did create quite a few. I think 5 of them. Yeah, so there's Crumb. Crumb is a Kenku monk. Who was a part of the blanket. Let's see. There was no, not Ozon, not Glee. I think Ash the Warforged was one. Venri the Fearbolg. Sassilis Morning is a surface raised drow. Who is a part of the blanket. She could be the gal.
Ooh.
Let me see if I actually put in here some notes on her backstory. I did. At a young age, Sassilis drew pictures on cave walls in mud. Reminiscent of your culture? What? She longed to utilize her keen elven eyes to bask in and recreate less drab landscapes, but her tribe of drow cared only for things like revenge and self-preservation. She ran away from home on her 21st birthday and found her way to Coverlet. She was naturally drawn there, as in terms of natural brilliance, none top that of Coverlet's rolling green fields and clear water streams. Sassilis was blessed by Quilt and developed incredible magical abilities. Her heart still lies in her work as an artist, but she now has the power to see more of the world and tap into new sources of inspiration. For work, she goes on missions with Quilt's blanket, lending a mage's hand where she can.
Ooh.
So she is a wandering artist, basically.
It
That
definitely be perfect. A lot of redemptive arcs woven into this story.
Heck yeah, dude. Wait, so how did you wind up? So we know that you joined up with the blanket, or with the section, the faction of the blanket that exists within Lightwater Bay. How the hell did Grumbino wind up in the ocean for 5 years, drifting until he landed at the shores of Autoclave?
I'd imagine that as a member of the blanket, Quilt would have recognized, are all the gods in the pantheon related?
What do you mean by that?
So what's Quilt's relation to Daden and Daiden? Daiden?
Daden and Daidim with an M.
Okay.
And it's Daydin because, the day, and then it's Daydim because dim means low light. That essentially, that's the main reason why I changed those to how they are now, but and that is strictly just to hopefully make it easier on both myself and others to remember. How does Quilt relate to Aiden and Diadem? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with my notes on Quilt, wait, hold up. Let me pull up slides real quick. See what I have written there. And you can check if you have the stream loaded up. You can see this this Google Slides I made. Her behavior. She exists within Coverlet. Okay, so I didn't write here whether or not she was one of the original pantheon or not, because I know for certain deities like where is she? Deities like Hem were some of the first deities to be created by the seamstress. Needle actually came later. Weirdly enough, like Hem existed before Needle. And I think Daden and Diadem were created, or I would say they were some of the originals as well. Ones that existed even before Needle. And I think I had decided that Quilt was one as well. You know, being the goddess over nature, she would have been pretty essential, like right off the bat. Along with Ease as well. Darning. Cord came later. Lenine came later. Thimble came later. Embroid definitely came later. It's a newer deity. Ruchin very much came later. Gore came later. Pocket definitely came later. Patch should have been one of the originals, but is incomplete. There's some interesting backstory there. Nap was one of the originals as well. So Quilt relates to Daden and Diadem in the sense that, like Daden, one of Daden's, dominions is seasons. Depending on the season, like Daden dictates what seasons go where, basically. If Daden is yellow, that means it's summer. Daden is gives a faint orange glow, then it's fall. If it's a white glow, then it's winter. If it's a green glow, then it's spring. And Diadem is the one that has dominion over the ocean and reflection. So since these two have dominion over something that I think Quilt stands above them in, if that makes sense, then these two were probably created after Quilt, and Quilt gave the okay to say, like, yes, I would like these two to basically to like help her a little bit with some of nature, basically. Diadem was given the ocean. Daden was given like color and light and season.
Okay. So in a way they are students almost. Or like apprentices.
Yeah, kinda.
So Quilt does have some sort of direct connection to them.
Yes, I would say so. Oh, also,
Okay,
sorry,
then,
somebody jumped in the chat. What's up, King Geet? How you doing? Welcome. We're just we're discussing some sweet Grung background for Keaton's character here, Grumbino. We're fleshing out some of the backstory to aid in my preparation, because I think some of this might pop up in the future. Especially with dude, I just wanted to thank you real quick for asking me that specific question, because frankly I hadn't actually thought of that, but without a doubt Quilt would be connected in some way.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm glad for the serendipity of like my character's just ability to fit in this world.
Heck yeah.
Because it's been nice. Like that some of this stuff like just goes so well together. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Uh,
Um
so yeah, so you asked that question,
so to finish the
because of
thought,
why you might have ended up at the shores of
yeah,
Autoclave.
I imagine that Quilt sent me there to help. Because she understood that there was a uh some sort of imbalance. She would be very aware of the moon. Um and perhaps she maybe ooh, you know what? I know none of the other ones are listening right now, but maybe Boulder Brow didn't even hire me. Like maybe I'm not even like a member of the Boulder Brow party. I was sent here directly by Quilt, because she was like, "Hey, some shit's going down. Go over there, see what you can do." And then everybody in the Boulder Brow party was like, "Hey, you're here with us, right?" And then I'm just like, "What are you doing? We're gonna go help the moon, you know?" And then I'd be like, "Yes."
Oh, dude, that's perfect. Yeah, that's so good. I'm glad that in last session, I had said that, Ilmston, like he spoke aloud that, he was told that there would be a group of mercenaries coming this way to investigate, but he wasn't given the actual names of like who was coming,
Yeah.
or who was exactly hired. Because otherwise, that would have posed a bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, and that also works because I had to be like, we're definitely uh are we hired is Boulder Brow the guy that hired us, right, everybody? Yes. Even though that was like kind of out of character, but like I didn't remember. So that also works.
Right on. Yeah, I think that absolutely makes sense. You were hired by Quilt, not Boulderbrow.
I wasn't even hired. I was just sent. I don't
Yeah.
get paid for this.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I imagine there's at least like
um,
some sort of uh I don't like some sort of payout, right? Like even if
oh
it's
well,
in
yeah.
like
Like on my on it'd be it would the currency would be spiritual in a sense on my quest for redemption.
heck yeah.
So it basically be like point brownie points towards my overall brownie point goal of redemption,
Right
if
on.
that makes
So
sense.
so what like yeah, what I'm thinking is since it is currently canonical that you were just swimming through the ocean for like it was 5 years, right?
Yeah, I guess like she was
Um,
like
I,
well
I
I guess
had
I,
a
I
sorry, I had an idea where it's
no
kind of
yeah tell me.
like a kind of like in the like the regular Bible when God would ask like someone to do something like completely wild and like crazy, like something that would never work. And then like through God's providence, like it happens anyways. Like
Yeah,
it's like provided that uh like yeah, odd happenstances all like happen to somehow make it a reality. What if Quilt
yeah,
just
that's what I
told
was
you
gonna say.
like, oh nice, we were on the same page. Quilt just told you, I need you to go to the shores, uh, down south and swim south and don't stop.
Yeah,
And that was all that was all like the direction that you were given. And she probably said like once you arrive at your destination, you'll know why you're there.
Yeah, we will have to like I think retcon one or two things just because I had said Golgari at one point,
Yeah.
and I think like the reason Austin brought me in was because he recognized my face from like posters of like people that Boulder Brow had sent or something like that. So that's gonna
Yeah.
have to be like just slightly retconned.
Yeah. I can even add on to, I think, the handout that is your guys's mission, right? Because I think I gave a handout that is, yeah, Lord
Yeah.
Boulderbrow's charge.
You'll have to take that. You'll have to take that out of my inventory too.
Indeed, and I'm going to write at the bottom who all, it's like list exactly the names that of the folks that were
Yeah.
hired. And
Ooh, and if
and I
anybody
think
looks at it,
and I think I'm not gonna tell anybody, dude. I
yeah,
think that would be
dude.
the more fun way to do it.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that's gonna be so fun.
That's so tight. I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So at this point, and this is a really big task, I think, for Quilt to trust you with. So this must
Mhm.
have been fairly fairly far into your time working with the blanket, right?
Yeah. Like, I would imagine at this point, I'm like, because I'm midway through life at this point, and I would have done the siege and all that stuff at probably like in human years been 10 or 12. I would have been very young, like as a grung, but now I'm middle aged. Because I think, yeah, because I would have been like 20 or 24. Um, so like in actual years, I would be like I would have been 10 or 12, but in human years, I would have been 20 or 24 when I was defeated by Ruchin. So this is about 15 or uh 15 or 10 years later, 15 or 13 years later. Yeah.
All right. Heck yeah. Do you think this is your, like, do you think this was like Quilt's, not Quilt's like final task for you, but like what Quilt believed would be the like it would be what you needed as a individual to feel redeemed, if that makes sense.
I think that there is no one thing. I think that
Yeah.
the real redemption will come in. So this is what will happen, right? Um, if we're speaking like of Grumbino's overall character arc, when he is granted at the end of his life immortality by Quilt, and then he returns to the Grungs, when he changes them like fundamentally as who they are, because like when he converts them basically to Quiltism or something like that, and changes them from a warmongering peace race or a warmongering race.
There isn't exactly
That
a
will be the redemption.
there isn't exactly like a quiltism, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like
Yeah.
just so it is like somewhat clear, quilt is if somebody worships quilt, it simply means that they respect nature and kind of have like a mother earth kind of mentality of just like loving the earth and loving the people that are that exist on or within the earth. um you know, like it's one of those where like it is, I guess, technically a religion, but it's more of a worldview.
Okay.
And that's what like
Um,
quilt preaches is like, hey, don't worship me specifically, like I will do great things, I'm a deity, like that's that is
yeah.
what's up, but more than anything, like take care of this planet. um
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, do you
Okay.
see the stream here? The way that I did it is I just changed the first sentence. Before it was Lord Thun and Boulderbrow hereby requests your assistance, but I changed it to Lord Thun and Boulderbrow hereby requests Felden Igval, Dickie Nichols, Leo Sigma, Exir, or Leprax to address an issue involving the village of Autoclave. And it goes from
I
there.
think you should add "and" right before Exir so that they know that that's the last thing and that's not like a typo or anything.
Heck yeah. There we go. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so basically the it would be once I have like changed the nature of the Grungs, that will be when I have redeemed myself.
Right on. I feel that. Then yeah, then this is just like she probably would have prefaced this with just like, hey, this is a big thing that I'm asking of you. She would have been like, are you willing to do this? And left it
and
left it to
of
you.
course, without question.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that means that at time of campaigning, I need to write this down. At time of campaigning, I'll say, yeah. At time of campaign, Grumbino has been a member of Quilt Blanket for 15 years, which is to a Grung 30 years.
That's a long
Pretty
time,
much.
dude. Snap.
Yeah. I'm very far along my way towards the character change, but still like working my way.
Yeah, and I'm sure there
So
were
yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, like, I'm sure there were still moments like within that I don't know, like you struggled a bit or were
Absolutely.
questioning whether or not like this redemption thing was going to actually work or change your mindset or how you feel about or how Grumbino feels about himself, like all that. Yeah, all that I'm
Absolutely.
sure was some struggle throughout it.
Absolutely. But either way, I'm a very different character than I was, like, when I fought Rutchin.
Absolutely.
I imagine me and Rutchin are like best friends.
Oh heck yeah, dude. Oh heck yeah. You would have definitely like have visited Coverlet itself many times at this point. And Rutchin is literally just outside at the gates 24/7. And so
I'm sure I sat with him and helped him on some watches.
heck yeah, he welcomes like any chance to speak with, especially a fellow paladin.
Yeah. Maybe he gave me direct tutelage for being a paladin.
Heck yeah. I imagine he has trained paladins in the past, and I think like currently probably still is training some paladins.
Yeah.
And it is interesting though, like people who do train under him primarily usually are strictly protection based.
My fighting styles that I chose was actually protection.
Is it actually?
Yeah, that's the one that I chose.
You're kidding me, dude. Oh
no, dude,
bro.
It just worked out so well.
That's wild. That is so wild. Then scratch everything I just said. Yeah, like absolutely. He would have taught you the ways of like how to protect what is dear to you, and and not wage like meaningless war, but instead work towards peace.
Yeah.
And yet still do that in a manner that is, that still leaves you the opportunity to defend and like fight if you absolutely must,
Yeah.
or if the need arises.
That would also fit into my that moment I had when fighting the Problins. Like I didn't draw my sword, and
That's right.
Rutch
You kept
does not. Yeah.
you kept shoving them into the snow.
Yeah. Slamming them into the ground is something I'm very familiar with.
Bro, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. Hold up, we just got a little raid from Del Saber.
Whoa!
What's up, Del Saber? Thanks so much for the raid again. And it means a lot, and I hope your stream wound up going smooth and that you have a good night going forward. And yo, what's up, Lay? Glad to have you. We're doing some D&D preparation, kind of, but for the most part right now we've been just working towards developing Groggen, Grumbino, Grung's backstory. So that, you know, because I find that the more fleshed out a backstory is, the easier it becomes for the DM to incorporate that stuff into the campaign as a whole. You know, for instance, and I wanted to mention this, Keaton, but thanks for putting this time in with me, because now, like, this is the sort of thing that I absolutely adore as a DM, where once this, like, arc has completed, or possibly, like, in the midst of this arc, you and your party have a legitimate reason to, you know, try to charter a ship to get back to the island where Coverlet lies, and like work towards that that ultimate or penultimate goal that your character has. That's what I feel like each character should, or that's what I would want for every character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Dude, can we, like, you and I are gonna have to sit down and write a comic, because we've had so many same brain moments. All this stuff has been happening so serendipitously. This is a sign. This is a legitimate sign.
Oh, without a doubt, dude. I'm with you there.
And I wanna animate. I wanna do some, like, Sakuga of Grumbino and Rutchin's battle.
Yo. Oh, dude. That would be so sick. Man, that seriously would be wild.
Because I can just picture, like, a fucking the exact moment where Rutchin is just like, fine, and then, like, eyes light up, force happens, Grumbino's thrown into the air, grabbed by the face, and then just, like, hurled into the ground.
And just, dude, being able to, like, see like, even if it was not, like, based around this awesome, like, incredible backstory here, just the opportunity to see an animated stone giant face off against a literal frog person would be the best thing ever. Oh my gosh.
It'd be so good. Real quick, remind me, what was the name of the girl who pulls me out of the sewer?
Right?
Started with an A.
It's over here. No, if it started with an A,
oh no,
it would be Aswell.
Okay, her.
Sorry. But it is Sassalus Morning. Sassalus Morning.
Ooh, can you also, is there any way you can share with me on Roll20 the character sheets of those that I have direct contact with, like, such as Quilt and Rutchin and Sassalus?
Certainly. I'll have to import her Sassalus's character sheet in there, along with her little backstory blurb, as well as I'll need to put in more detail, or no, I actually just need to put all her info in there in general. But I can currently plop
If it would be easier,
this into there, and just know that this this document here, or this this token, is where I'll put her info.
Okay. Would there be anything easier for you instead? Because I don't want to make you like drum up and write in an entire character sheet.
No, it would literally just be like copying and pasting the important story stuff and background stuff.
Okay, no.
Because, you know, like, for instance, Quilt isn't gonna have a character sheet.
Right.
She is not only a deity, but a primarily good and neutral, like peaceful deity, so she wouldn't have much reason to battle anyone.
Right.
And yeah, I'm gonna just copy this from here and plop it into the bio and info. Uh-oh. Wait, can I change the color here? Oh, whoops. That was the background color. There we go. Yeah. Wait. Alright, there we go. Do you see that in her bio?
Yeah.
Alright, right on. And then for Ruchin, I needed to make one for him in this slides document anyways. And once I do that, I'll just transfer it over.
Dope. I'm gonna write my character sheet. The part of which is to go is to join. Part of it sent me to help with the full moon thing. I'm gonna make everything sound better later. But while we're still working through it, I'm gonna just take notes basically.
Right on. That works, man.
Sway. So Sassilis pulled me from the sewer. Who was Sassilis with? You mentioned a male member of the blanket that might be a good fit for this scenario to have also been there in Blightwater.
Yeah, let me look at the notes from a couple of others here.
Okay. Basically, I'm thinking that Sassilis was poor soul in need, want to help out, and then her mentor or any sort of authoritative blanket member with her was don't you know who that is? They just attempted siege on or not just, but a few months ago. However long I was in the bog. However long between being tossed in a river and being pulled out of a sewer. But that amount of time ago, they led a siege against Coverlit. Clearly got beaten down by Ruchin. And then, Sassilis being no, but what about hope? Pretty much.
Wait, sorry, one more time.
So basically, Sassilis pulls me out of the sewer, and whoever her mentor is with her is saying we can't help this guy because he tried to storm Coverlet. And then Sassilis is pretty much like, but what about hope and redemption and good qualities? And then the guy's like, go, well, fine, but if he tries to kill us, it's on you. Or something like that.
Heck yeah. So I have, if you look at the stream, I have a couple of options that I think would be good. Sassilis is really good because as a drow, she would blend into the climate of Blightwater really well. Being a drow, they wouldn't like look at her. They wouldn't give her a second glance or anything.
Yeah.
The other one that could be good is, and what I was trying to say is that there are a few others in the blanket that are similar in that they are of races and such that probably wouldn't be, that would be pretty incognito. There's Emrim the Mountain, who is a hobgoblin. His little backstory blurb is that he aided in the rescue of the orc race when Gore attempted to eliminate them. However, the men under his banner were wiped out when they came face to face with Gore himself. He was rescued by Quilt's blanket and has dedicated himself to Quilt's service ever since. And he learned, from there he trained under Rutchin, and learned some of the ways from him. Venri might be looked at a little bit funny if he is in Blightwater. After a blight wiped out his tribe, he dedicated his life to doctoring. He wishes to find and cure all those that are plagued and prevent what happened to his village, and his family from ever happening again. A kind and empathetic soul, weighed down slightly by the loss of so many dear to him. Quilt sent the blanket to save as many from the village as they could, but only Venri remained when they showed up. They gave him refuge in Coverlet and a place to learn medicine, and from there he joined up with the blanket as a cleric.
Like, you basically need an authority that would despise Grung, and he could very easily just call me a vestige of Gore, because that I could, like, the Grung race could unwillingly be like a vestige of Gore.
Venri's people were wiped out by a blight, not anything to do with Gore.
Who's the?
Yeah, that was Emrim the Mountain, the hobgoblin.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, but you said he would stick out, right?
No, he wouldn't. He's a hobgoblin. Heck, like mostly hobgoblins are known, at least in this world, like to worship Gore and look to Gore as a deity that they look up to because they're very war focused for the most part. It's just his specific tribe, and I mean some of like the hobgoblin tribes are a little more lawful, at least, or lawful neutral. But yeah, anyways, he was, and I think nowadays, like in the current time, in Velvet, hobgoblins lean a little more towards the side of good because of what Gore did. In fact, I would probably say that Emrim's tribe was like pretty war focused and such, but there's war and then there's genocide, right? Like, there's war for like the sake of conquest and junk, but genocide is like another thing altogether. And so I think like the hobgoblins at that point, when they realized what Gore was doing, decided to take their ranks and try to help out. And in doing so, Emrim's whole army was wiped out. And he wound up being rescued by Quilt. Maybe like a couple survived, but he was one of the only ones left. Byro has a really interesting story. After having been born in Abalance, where the small rift into the abyss resides, Dysix, instead of tossing him into the abyss like he does with most of his children, Dysix being like one of the head demons from the abyss, or one of the most powerful demons, and in fact is known as the father of demons, decided to entrust one of his imps with the task of taking him far away and abandoning him by the side of the road. His belief being that if the child was truly meant for this world, the world would find a way to care for him. So he was like, it was literally a baby left in a ditch.
It just puts it in the ditch, just figure it out, and then walks away.
Yeah, dude. Coming up with this backstory was a fun time. Lo and behold, the world did care for him. Eventually, the little nameless Cambion was left in the mud for months, in fact, either unnoticed or disregarded by passerbys. That is until Elrin Melium passed by one day on his way to his next location, Elrin being one of the members of the Blanket, and, you know, saw this baby on the side of the road and was like, shoot, why has nobody addressed this? What is, excuse me?
Is that baby?
Oh, it actually is put here that he didn't notice the baby at first because he was too focused or something, but the second time he saw those muddy horns, he decided that it was a sign. It was time for Elrin to become a father.
Aw.
Yeah, he picked up the baby and was like, alright, you're Byro. You carry an evil presence, but I feel that one day you might bring smiles to the masses. How about it, Byro? Let's go home. And that's because, like, tieflings in this world are, like, half demon, and, you know, much like in the lore of the regular Wizards of the Coast lore, they're kind of, like, shied away from most of the time, at least by, like, common folk, because they do carry, like, in the Forgotten Realms, it's infernal blood, but here I've switched it to demon blood.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, that was might have been more info than you needed, but Byro grew up to become a bard amongst the ranks of the Blanket, and then Crumb is the last one. He is a Kenku monk. He was born into slavery. He lived his years under the pain of a slave driver's barbed whip. Days the Shining City housed and fed him, keeping him in the shadow of the bright radiance shining in the streets. Link, the Tabaxi detective, had been hired to look into the underground slave driving happening in Days. When Link discovered Crumb, he dispatched the masters and brought Crumb with him to his next job in Coverlet. Crumb discovered himself a natural in hand-to-hand combat, stealth, and reading people, so he decided to join up as a monk.
Who do you think would hate Grung the most?
Who would hate the Grung people the most?
Yeah, who would hate, like, if somebody's on a mission even if somebody's on a mission to redeem an entire city of the lost, who would still shoulder enough of a grudge against Grumbino to not accept him into the Blanket outright, like immediately, unlike Sassilis.
I would probably say Emrim. And that might just be because his ancestors most likely fought your ancestors. They most likely warred against each other, and I think there might be or I'm pretty sure there is that sort of like bad blood between at least like his specific tribe of hobgoblins and your the grungs of that forest, where it's been like years and years, possibly centuries of warring between like your two clans or your two tribes. And so with all this history, yeah, he would have a really hard time. He would know and have been told like many stories growing up of like the cruelty of the Grung, even compared to like hobgoblins. At least like from his like father or mother's perspective, and just told like a lot of bad things about Grung, like the Grung race specifically.
Do you think that we could also add an addendum to it where, well, I keep speaking as though there's a larger audience to this backstory, even though this is all subtext. But I think that it'd be a nice
Yeah.
little third dimension if like the initial thought of like Sassilis would be, oh, don't mind him. Sometimes it's harder for us of the quilt to forget past cultural grudges, but it winds up being like a projection on how the hobgoblin himself doesn't think that he's worthy to be a member of the blanket and set forth on this path of redemption, and he's projecting those insecurities onto Grumbino.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
Neat. So what was his name and how do I spell it?
Emrim is Emrim, and he's known as Emrim the Mountain.
Emrim and Sassilis basically healed Grumbino and he became a temporary honorary member of the blanket at first to pay his debt back to the two, but then just became full blown assimilated's not the right word, but I'm not gonna add any extra effort to think of a good word right now.
Word. That's fine.
Into the order. I like to imagine that he and Imrim and Sassilis had their own campaign in the city of Blightwater as they tried to fix things and redeem everything. But I also think that mission initially failed. Like I think it's like maybe not failed, but like is still ongoing.
Oh yeah, and I think it may even be that quilt. And we talked about this earlier, not on the stream, but when we were talking about it before. That quilt, as much as she wishes that the entire island could be this sanctuary, much like the actual city proper is of Coverlet, because of like the existence of the dragon god of balance, Ease, she knows that there must be some evil for there to be good, and so maybe like the goal of the blanket in Blightwater hasn't necessarily been to like entirely uproot Blightwater and like form a rebellion and get things like get all the bad people out of there, but it's probably just been to affect things where they can, in a good manner.
Yeah,
Try to
subtly.
try to in subtle ways shift people's perspectives where they can. And
Like, go on.
oh, and I was just gonna say, and granted, remember that they're trying to do all this without like, knocking heads or killing nobody. So
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time and effort, I imagine.
yeah. It's more of a Taoist sort of you know, if a rock blocks your path, you need only to wait, and eventually it will move. That type of subtlety. The Taoist whole thing is it's like with a gentle hand. It's a very like soft spoken and influence with a gentle hand type situation, which usually lines up a lot with like the whole like one with nature type situation.
All right. Yeah, I would say like the only
Like
thing with
leave the
that
world as you
analogy.
found it type situation.
Yeah, the only thing with that analogy is you guys are still working to affect change. There's
Right.
not exactly like waiting around. And the
Right.
gentle hand
Yeah.
is sometimes, I don't know, like I think some of the stuff that you guys try to do is somewhat not subtle. I think at times.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on like what you guys would be doing. But the ultimate goal I think is yeah, like that subtlety of not ultimately, yeah, just not like uprooting things and starting a rebellion.
Yeah. Um so I guess you know
Like
what
things
might
like
be a good.
sorry, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Um things like when those scavengers came down to the marshes and started picking up like armor and junk and like all this stuff and crap that had flowed that way through the river. Although
Yeah.
that is a like somewhat scummy thing to do and like something that like they're doing just for their own benefit, um something that the blanket would probably do is going to those people, and they were probably told by the blanket about that being a good scavenging place, like lying to them and saying like, oh, I got like the best treasure down there, like what you got to do is just pick everything up that you see and then bring it down to this guy I know. um and
Yeah.
through that means they've successfully like gotten people to basically pick up litter. um uh yeah, I think that's the
Oh
kind of
yeah,
thing
because
that
that would
I'm
also,
imagining.
if they bring it to that person who doesn't like actually own a forge but has like a makeshift forge that they're trying to then sell, they're basically, it's basically a recycling ring. So
Yeah,
that
dude.
way, that like if they get cheaper metals from within the city rather than digging them out of the earth, they're hurting the earth less.
Absolutely. And yet what's happened is these people that are, I think, not, well, I don't know about inherently evil, but are on the side of evil or scumminess or whatever, have been convinced that it was their idea to yeah, to do these things that are actually without them realizing it, or like good for the environment and junk.
Like Sassilis is just is sitting with Imrim like in a cafe or in like one of the bars or something, and like Sassilis is like oh man, drinks are on me tonight, and like she's being very convincing, and like even though she's just acting, but then Imrim is like, tell me why drinks are on you. Did you come into some good fortune recently? And then
Oh boy, did
Cecilis is
I,
like,
Emrim.
yeah,
I mean,
and I'll tell you
Edward.
how.
Uh,
And I'll tell you how I was able to pick up scraps
Yeah,
And then, like,
exactly.
meanwhile, like, the two who drug me out of the marshes are, like, listening intently.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Um,
Like, it could even go so far to the point where, like, Dacilis is like, well, I guess it's time we leave now. Yes, I do believe we should get back to our cart, the keys of which are right here. Right? And then they just get up and
Yes.
leave. And then they're like,
Yes.
oh, they left their keys!
Oh, dude, and like all this, because granted, like these are members of like the organization that is directly under Quilt, so everything like is being supplied for them by Quilt, so that's absolutely within their like range of doability, where like they were sent a cart by a messenger from Coverlet, and yeah, specifically for the reason of getting it stolen.
Yeah.
For yeah, for these guys to be able to get down there. I love that idea, man.
I love I love imagining the adventures of Imrim and Sasslis, and then now they have to take care of their frog.
Yeah.
Imrim, who didn't want the frog, and Sasslis, who loves the frog. Like, not in a romantic way, but in like a pet type situation almost.
Yeah. And I mean, she probably thinks you're quite like the character. She's probably like painted like like 500 portraits of you at this point. Like
Oh
at the
yeah,
point of the
I
campaign.
bet she loves my aesthetics.
Heck
like,
yeah.
just the way I look, because I'm like a frog, and like, you know, on Coverlit we're kind of sequestered to that forest, and not a lot of people go into that forest, and even fewer come back out of that forest. So it's very possible that she's never seen anything like me before.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And she comes from like so I didn't remember this at the time, but there is sort of a underbelly of Coverlet in the fact that there is, I believe, a couple entrances to the Underdark where, you know, Drow live, Duragar, those kinds of like deep underground races that have basically like just abandoned society altogether and just created like these small societies deep within the planet.
Ah, I see. So like literal underground societies.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read up at all on like Drow history, but I think like the deal was that they were elves at one point, like regular elves, but they
Oh yeah.
got
Okay.
cursed, and
So
then they abandoned society because like the curse wound up making things hard for them or something, or making it so that they can't go into sunlight, I think, straight up. Anyways, I don't remember it exactly, but there's a lot of stuff around that.
yeah, no, I think that's right, because the you kept saying the name Drow, and that sounded familiar. There's a race in Skyrim, because Skyrim is pretty much just D&D.
Hell yeah.
And there's a race in Skyrim called the Draugr that are like mole people, basically Gollum, who used to be elves. And so that's, yeah. They like live underground now, and they're very pale, and they don't go up like outside. So basically, you seem to have accidentally changed your stream thing to like that flowy.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, I went to because that is called webcam reference. And what is in like the little corner here that I'm in currently is referenced from the scene that is called webcam solo. So I clicked on webcam reference and immediately realized, oh wait a second, I meant to switch over to webcam solo for a second. Oh, although, if you, dude, what? This is something I don't understand about Streamlabs sometimes. If I hide the chat box over in a different scene, even though in this scene it's not hidden, it still just goes away for some reason.
Ah.
And I completely don't get that. All right, well, fine. I'll put it back. Unless, wait. Let me test. Let me actually test it first. Hoopla. Oh, never mind. Heck, sorry. I was just wrong because I didn't realize people weren't typing nothing. Never mind. Sorry, forget my comment.
No, you're fine.
So, I did want to mention, this gives me a fair amount of stuff to, work on in, like, my downtime. But...
And also, it answers, it only took us, not including stream time, or including stream time and including the time before the stream, it only took us about 3 hours to answer your initial question of, hey, who did you know in the Golgari?
Yeah, dude. This came from just one message in a Discord DM of just, hey, dude, real quick, who did you know in the Golgari? But that's, I mean, I think that's like what is so beautiful about like world building, and why I don't like sweat or worry too heavily about world building all that much, is because like I feel that the world building will come naturally through these like tiny, seemingly inconsequential questions. And like that's what I have found so far. Heck, I mean, it's what got me to create that little region map for Doffhide, was just from, you know, Leo's character wanting to have a map, which is really like a, I don't know, I think like somewhat of an inconsequential thing. Like in my, like as the DM, in my personal opinion, you guys probably didn't necessarily like need a map, but still, like it got me thinking, shoot, it would be really cool if I could actually hand that out. But yeah, the play and the questions inspires the work behind it, dude.
I love it. I love how much of storytelling should be, and sometimes unfortunately isn't. But I believe that like it should almost always be some sort of conversation.
Yeah, dude. I wanted to mention that, well, first let me ask the question of, oh wait, no. So let me start with this. Originally, I was thinking about having the Golgari be involved in, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want
spoilers.
you to know too much. But I was initially going to have the Golgari be involved in, so you know, Ilmston came in and started accusing Wilds of having aided in the kidnapping of
the
Celeste.
priestess. Yeah,
exactly. I was going to have the Golgari be involved.
Real quick. I can't hold my pee anymore, but I have Bluetooth headphones. You keep talking while I go to the bathroom. I'm going to mute myself so you can't hear my pee stream, but I'll be able to hear you.
Word up. Right on. I'll keep on talking here then. So I was initially planning on having the Golgari be the ones that were hired, apparently, at least Ilmston and those of the Armid Law believe that Wilds hired the Golgari to abduct Celeste. Because it's not exactly known yet in your party how that abduction took place, or even if that abduction actually took place. And I want to make sure that that is still apparent. Initially, I was going to say the Golgari were the ones that did that, but going forward, I will say it could go one way or the other. So from your character's perspective, just still know that is still where your guys' party is at. Where it's uncertain as to whether or not the kidnapping actually took place or not. It seems rather official. It seems as though Ilmston has like a proper warrant to arrest Wilds, to hopefully figure out more about how the kidnapping happened. And so, I would say your character would probably be smart enough at least to, see that the officials came in and said that, Celeste has been kidnapped. That must mean that they probably have been to where Celeste was said to go. Was said she, had said she was leaving to, and she was no longer there. And it was one of those where a missing persons report was genuinely reported and was probably sent over to Aramid. And from there, that's how they ended up at the Die Basilica that day to arrest Wilds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I would say it's not too far off to believe that your character probably would have come to that kind of conclusion. However, I guess there is still the possibility that she wasn't kidnapped, but I don't know. These are all I'll say is these are genuine officials, and you guys found that out. These are of the Glass Needles from Aramid.
Right. Okay. But if we're saying so does the Golgari still exist in this universe, or are they just Quilt's blanket now?
I would say we're gonna go ahead and retcon that fully and say that
okay, sweet.
We are replacing the Golgari with Quilt's blanket. Because once I found out more, once you told me what they are about, it would make sense to me for that to be the case.
Yeah, I think that they do fit in very, very well with Quilt's blanket, because they are themselves I think the only reason they're seen as seedy underbelly is because they're kind of a do you know who Diogenes is?
They're quite secretive. What is Diogenes?
He is a Greek philosopher. He's the original cynic. And he basically completely rejected society and social conventions and all this. And he slept in a barrel. He famously didn't shower. He didn't have a job. He was pretty much just a homeless dude. But the term cynic came from how everybody told him he lived like a dog. And cynic in its original Greek means dog-like. And that's pretty much what the Golgari are, is very much just more of the fundamentals that matter to them are nature, the essentials, food, shelter, and all that stuff. Money's not really that much of a thing. I think that they fall in with criminals more often than not, just because criminals have to hide and sequester themselves away from the public eye, and the Golgari are just already naturally doing it. So I think that maybe what it was would be more of a criminals
started hanging out with cynics, and then also they have an obsession with death, which is why people also believe that like death has such a negative connotation, but to the Golgari, death isn't like the end.
They believe that it is a natural process.
Yeah. And from it can come new life. So they're not like
in a sense of like
I guess they are
reincarnation, or do they believe that like in an afterlife?
I think reincarnation, and also just like, the idea of like the flower blooming from the skeleton.
Ah, true. Nice. All right. Yeah, that's kind of a mesh of like Hem's domain and Quilt's domain.
Yeah.
Just so you know, because Hem is the deity that is death, basically. Or as it's kind of known in Velvet, he is the god of the discarded. The things that have passed on or been discarded and eliminated, I guess, for lack of a better term. And he is known throughout the world to be like his full title is Hem, the god of death, the end to all things. Because it is believed that whenever it comes time for the universe, like the entire universe, to go away and like kind of in our world, like think the eventual heat death of the universe. Whenever that time is to come, it will be Hem. Like Hem will be the one that just appears, because Hem is a black hole, basically. Like
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, like that's some of the background or history of the deity Hem. But that is also, that's the deity over death. And yet, like currently, it is still like believed though that by many that from death comes new life. And I think like the Golgari would probably still believe, even in that instance of like where everything is finally discarded and gone, from that will still come something.
Yeah. Like there is the notion that the cycle of the universe is somewhat of a loop, and that some people theorize that what the heat death of the universe is actually like, how it's ever expanding outward.
Yeah.
There's the notion that it's going to like reach a limit of how far it expands out, and then suddenly come colliding back in on itself and create a new Big Bang, and thereby a new universe.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess Hem is like heat death of the universe. That's the end. And then the Golgari are like, but what about this? Didn't think of that, did you?
Exactly. And it is also known that although, and like even I like that as some of like Blanket's followers' beliefs, or sorry, those in the Blanket's beliefs. It's also known though that the seamstress, the one that created the universe, in the beginning, all that stuff, whenever she left, she is like currently creating another universe.
Damn.
So, and there are some, I think, in the world that believe, heck, if we can find a way to get to that universe, we won't have to even ever experience this whole like this whole hem dealio.
Can I theorize real quick about your world's mythos?
Sure, absolutely.
So what if what was the name of the spinster who made the universe?
Oh, that's the seamstress.
The seamstress. What
it's
if,
kind of like like that's probably not actually her name. It's one of
Right,
those
right.
things, but like that's what she's been deemed throughout the universe.
so what if she's not actually gone, right? And in fact, she is just silent or unable to be seen because she is constantly weaving things into existence and constantly working on this universe. And then that notion that she's working on making a new universe, if the Golgari are to be believed, or the blanket are to be believed that it will, even the heat death of the universe will result in a new universe, then you could imagine the seamstress making this universe is working towards creating another new universe, because at the end of this universe there will be another one. Maybe
Dude,
I might need to
dude,
simplify what I'm saying
I
better.
and I think I can. Uh, the one thing that didn't quite I think pan out for what I've thought of for the mythos is she wouldn't be like in a constant state of creation. I believe that I think what happened was she was in a constant state of creation for like the first millennia, or sorry, not millennia, but like the first maybe million years of the, or not even million years, for the first, yeah, I would say millennia of like the existence of the universe, constantly creating, having these celestial deities help her in that effort, um and then once it came time for her to leave, I think a lot of people on the planet believe that that was her leaving to go and continue creating and just like leave to go create another universe. But what if it's that she has to rest, like as a deity, like some sort of force that is even beyond her forces her to basically like hibernate until all is discarded from this current world, and then she draws from all that was discarded and uses that as material to create something new. So it's almost like every time like the universe is recreated, it's like taking the recycled materials and like just creating something new from it.
Do you think that since this is a universe of like Dungeons and Dragons and it's full of heroes, do you think she had to rest because instead of sewing out the path, instead of, let me try to form my words. Instead of her resting, do you think that maybe it's more of she doesn't need to work to sew the threads of fate because there are these heroes and these legends that have come about in this universe that are doing it for her?
Yeah, like once, yeah, it's basically that exactly, where like she gets to a point where she is satisfied and she could probably still keep working and doing things like in this realm, but she gets to a point where she is satisfied with what she's created and knows that from here on she's created enough and in a way that will through like the free will of the sentient beings will continue like the world and the universe. And she at that point just sits back and watches. Maybe she even like, dude, I bet the seamstress is down there with Hem, is chilling with Hem, because Hem's deal is that like he has to just like sit there and like watch things until it comes time for something to be discarded, and only then does he go out and like have something to do. But he essentially is just waiting for the end times to do his job. That's why he's like one of the only fully neutral deities, is that like he's not like, you'd think that the god of death might be an evil deity, but or has the potential to be that, but Hem is just he sits there and hangs out until it's time to do his job. Um, and so, gosh, I kind of love this image of like, once the seamstress is satisfied, she just goes to the understitch and hangs out and like watches things unfold until it's her duty again, which is
Yeah.
after him like completes his job.
My cat has taken to finding a corner and then just like batting at nothing. Like she moves to a corner, then looks up at the ceiling, and then just starts swiping in the air or standing on her hind legs and like sitting up and trying to don't eat that, and like as though she's trying to get at something when nothing's there.
Oh my gosh.
So that's fun. But so basically, I believe we have everything here for Grumbino. At least we have the plot points. Maybe not
Oh,
the
yeah.
minute details, which I will definitely sit down and write out. So basically, here let me do a quick little summary, a recap, if you will. He was born as the Grungs, as the heir to the sovereign throne of a powerful Grung horde. He was just like trained to be a warrior from the moment like he grew legs, basically. From the moment he could stand outside of the water, and then he was on the battlefield with his dad, and his dad died, and he got real mad. He got so dang mad that he started fighting all the other Grung hordes and basically conquered everything in the forest, then sought to move beyond and started pillaging Coverlit, and made his way to the main city, the capital city, before meeting Rutchin and getting absolutely pummeled, tossed in a river, buried in a swamp, dredged up and scavenged and taken to Blightwater, tossed in a sewer, and then finally being shown some comfort by Sassilis. Not something that he hadn't known for a long time, but something he hadn't known ever.
Mm.
And then taught to be a paladin by Rutchin. Hung out with Sassilis and Imrim for a long time. Then got taught to be a paladin by Rutchin. Then finally returned to his horde. Which is like this is an interesting like kind of back and forth arc, but like he does, after Rutchin teaches him to be a paladin, he does go back to the Grung horde, whereupon he's welcomed and celebrated, but because of his nature of being a paladin and because of sense evil, being around so many evil things gave him just intense migraines. It's the point where he couldn't stand it and actually like healed all the slaves of their poison, which because Grungs use their poison skin to like keep slaves submissive, and amidst like a slave revolt and a prison break and a slave riot, he disappeared once again from his horde and went back to serve Quilt. And then she sent him to not right after, but some amount of time later, she sent him to go in like a predetermined fashion to go help out Daden and Diadem. And that's how he wound up with the Boulder Brow crew.
Dang, man. That's so good.
I'm pretty happy with it, yeah. I think we've done some great things today.
And I gotta say, I do love that little notion of Grumbino did return to his tribe at one point in his serving of Quilt, and in the blanket, he decided to go back for a time, but yeah, what he found was not something that he felt he could change at that time, right? Like he did what
Yeah.
he could by like
Yeah.
removing the poison from the slaves, but even then, I think like you probably thought to yourself, like, this isn't what the blanket would have even done. Like, like, oh, what have I
Yeah.
done? Now the slaves are just rioting and there's violence and like bloodshed within my people all around me now. And in that moment, like that's when you disappeared again and went back
Basically
to,
returning to Quilt to be like, I'm not ready to be
yeah,
on my own.
yeah, dude. That's what I was thinking of, where you did have like a lot of, or at least like a couple of big struggling moments throughout those 15 years of serving with the blanket.
Yeah.
You thought of one, and that's a heck of a good one, dude.
Thanks. I knew that I liked that third dimension where because it's also Grumbino's moment. Funny enough, he had gone back and had initially just been like he still hadn't considered the Grungs to be evil. He had just figured, like different strokes, different folks types of situation because, of course, the blankets like teachings definitely conflicted with like Grung teachings, but he probably chalked it up to just like a cultural difference mainly, But then, divine sense does or sense evil doesn't lie.
Yeah, that's true enough, man. I gotta take a whiz really badly again. So I'm gonna go do that real quick.
Do it, yeah.
All right, be right back. All right, I'm back.
Yes, I am here.
Right on. I think I am probably gonna wrap up here.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, man.
I still have yet to have dinner.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
Eden,
I'm
you
a
gotta
nonsense man.
you gotta tell me these things, dude.
No, it wasn't because of anything that of this. It's legitimately I just haven't been hungry, and now I am. And it wasn't like you stopped me from eating dinner. I stopped myself from eating dinner.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, I know that like in general, 3 hours is like my maximum limit for streams, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was hoping to wrap up. Anyhow, so you go, dude. Go get yourself some grub. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for like a solid like 4 hours today.
Dude, I'm
Getting
so
into
excited.
that deep lore, baby.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the next the next session. Which I've been meaning to ask, did we decide Saturday or Sunday?
Um, I think probably Saturday. Wait, I think it was that Teresa preferred Sunday, but I think everybody else preferred Saturday.
No, I think
Or was it the other way around?
Austin preferred Saturday, and then everybody else preferred Sunday.
Gotcha. Yes, that's what it was. So I think we'll probably still do Sunday then, especially if that's the day that works best for most folks.
Dope. Dope. But yeah, I hope somebody. I hope somebody, without us saying anything, I hope somebody reads through the thing and is like, "Wait a minute, your name's not on this."
Dude. You know who I who my guess or who it might be that figures it out is either gonna be Scott or Joe. That's at least my guess.
Oh yeah,
I
I think it might be
I
Austin.
specifically say Scott though, because he's already figured out the letter.
Oh yeah, what did he say about the letter?
He didn't say anything yet. But
Oh, okay.
at the end of the session, all he said was like, "I think I figured out the letter." But and then he said, "But we'll pick that up on the next session." And I was like,
Okay.
"Dude, he's so quick with it. Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like I wasn't sure if it's gonna be. And granted, all I've said and all I'm still gonna say is investigate the letter. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like there's something in there that I thought was either gonna be like pinpoint, like noticed right off the bat, or would take a long time. But I wasn't sure. But Scott got it quick, man.
I am a frog of average intelligence who can't read, so it's very comforting sometimes because I like my brain, like it's kind of in character, it's kind of also just like because the way my mind works when I'm not like talking on like a Discord call, but I unfortunately tend to default zone out, but it kind of has really worked in character for this campaign.
Heck yeah, dude. And I mean, genuinely, Groggen probably has like genuine receded trauma. He's been like in war since he was like, what was it, 11 or 12 or something?
Oh no, I since he could walk, so probably
man.
one.
Oh.
Maybe less than, since depending on the turnaround.
All I'm saying is I think Groggen probably has some pretty good reason to be zoning out every now and then, or at least
Yeah.
like you know, a good explanation.
It's like that Vine where like the dude's like at the party and it's slowly zooming out of his face and he's just got like this like this really sad music playing as his pupils are kind of going in different directions, and then suddenly somebody walks up to him and says hey, and then it suddenly cuts to like party banter and like party sounds.
Yeah.
But it's just this idea of like zooming in on Grumbino's not emotive face, and just like you hear screaming and crying, and maybe the sound of like a rock being dropped from very high up as he remembers Rutchin's like suplex from the sky.
Dude,
and then suddenly just, what do you think, Grumbino? Oh yes, well.
If you do wind up doing that little well, it would be a big animation, like a solid project for that battle scene, I think it might be worthwhile to throw like, well, it depends on, I would say it depends on if the feel of it is going to be like full on serious battle mode, or whether you want to throw like a couple of comedic moments in there to contrast it. But yeah, like as Ruchin like leaps into the air, it like for like a few seconds, it just zooms in on yeah on Groggen's face, as he sits there, as like maybe all like the rest of the all the rest of the Grog people are like shouting and chanting, and at this point like probably yelling at Groggen as to like what are you doing,
Yeah, like move.
yeah, but it just like all of it kind of just doles out or gets muffled slowly but surely as it just zooms in on Groggen's face.
Yeah. I would love like it slowly zooms in on his face as like he's not only is he like crushed and can't not crushed but like kind of incapacitated at the moment, but it like zooms in on his face, and then he fades into a silhouette, and you just see like his brain, and there's just like a fly buzzing around, like just lazily, and then suddenly he gets hit by a fly swatter, and then he realizes what's about to happen. Like that's the visual representation
dude.
of him realizing what's about to happen.
Yes, oh my gosh. And it would be kind of I think it would be good for just like thinking on the animator's side, like it might be good for the animator's sake, your sake, to have like that be a slight like moment of respite from like the big action sequences, to where like you could maybe show like animate Ruchin like super superhero like leaping or flying into the air like off, but the animation just goes off screen, and then it like stays on Groggen, so it would save you some time there with like without having to animate Ruchin's whole whole dealio that he does in the air.
Yeah. I think
gosh,
it
all
would
that to
also be
say,
a good.
it would save time.
Yeah. I think it would be a good like passion project because I've wanted. Do you know? I think they're called Madhouse, but the studio that in Texas that does.
Yes.
Or no, Madhouse is Japanese, but I'm. What's there's a studio in Texas that does like they did Castlevania on Netflix. They did a bunch of other stuff, but I want to work there, but I don't have anything in their style, and that would be a good like practice, especially since like Castlevania was like anime and monsters, and Grumbino and a stone giant Ruchin would also be monsters, and I could do it in like an anime-esque style. I think that'd be fun. That'd be good for the reel too.
Heck
It'd be
it would, dude.
Real good.
Absolutely. You could I don't know. You could enter that in a video contest thing. I don't know like what all is out there, but but I know there are like certain things like that, right? Where you can submit your short film to a roster of like short films.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
like, one is awarded the first place prize. All that.
Yeah. I think that for now, I think it would definitely do numbers on Twitter because it's Sakuga and Frog. Those are like two of my most followed things on my Twitter feed. Like for instance, I just found a tweet of like it's like a teapot set, and the main teapot is a frog, and then the two little teacups are tadpoles. And it's got like it's got like over 2,000 likes.
Yes. Good.
A lot of people like frogs.
I know I do, man.
Hell yeah.
Well, all right. Let's go ahead and sign off here.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna do like a little outro thing, but Keytoon, man, I love you lots, and thank you for staying on as long as you did here. I appreciate you, man.
Dude, thank you for working through this with me. I'm so glad so much of it has like worked out so well, and I look forward to this campaign so much. I can't wait.
Hell yeah. All right. Peace out, dude.
All right. Peace.
All right. Sick. Well, I might plop this onto YouTube, but I don't know who the one viewer is, but thanks for sticking around, yo. This has been a blast and a half. I think I've felt myself like get lower on energy as the session went on, but that's normally the case with 3-hour streams. This has been yeah, still though a fun as heck time. I don't know. I was thinking of just not streaming today because I wanted to chat with Keaton and all, but I figured, hey, maybe I could give you guys a little sneak peek into the process that goes on behind the scenes for building a world and running campaigns. Hopefully you enjoyed it, any that watched, and let me know any thoughts or ideas that you guys might have on the world and on the session, and I'll check them out and respond. Cool beans. Hey, heck yeah, PTG. Let me load up the outro tunes real quick. Or the outro tune, singular. Guys, I love you lots, and remember to take the merriment that we found today, the laughs, the joy, the fun stories, let all of that coagulate and settle in your heart as you lay your head on your pillow tonight. Let it set you at ease. Let it carry you into the morrow. Take it with you. Let it breathe life into you come the morning, and remember to share it. All right. That's all from me for today. Much love, guys. Bye-bye.